Alright, for today's video review, we're going to be continuing our look at the Combiner Wars aerial bots here and take a look at Skydive. Again, a pretty decent but simple little figure here from the Combiner Wars line. I am excited to see what we get for the alleged new aerial bots that we're supposed to be getting next year, but for now I do like these guys quite a bit, even if they are simple. But yeah, no, I like his jet mode. He's definitely got some nice gold paint on the wings here. I also like that they picked out these little, missiles on the underside of the wing there. Those don't detach or anything. Those are just sculpted details that were painted in, which is nice to see. Like with Firefly, he does just kind of have his whole robot mode just like crumpled up underneath the jet here, but what can you do? He also, unlike Firefly, doesn't have a front landing gear, which is kind of a bummer, but he sits fine without it, so it's not really the end of the world, but it's a little weird that some of them have it and the others don't. But yeah, other than that, just jet mode is decent. He does, of course, come with two weapons here, the hand-foot gun that they all come with, and then the a little double barrel blaster here. And it is a different hand-foot gun than the one that came with Firefly. You can see all the sculpting is pretty much different there. I mean, the thumbs and the fingers are the same, but the actual casing of it is different. He's got little rocket launchers on the front there. And yeah, again, in terms of storage, you are supposed to just peg these on under the wings and call it a day, which I think looks tremendously stupid, but whatever. It's what you're supposed to do. He does actually have an extra port here on the top, so you could plug one of them in up here and then maybe just leave the other one off. I think it looks kind of stupid either way with either of them. It looks okay with the gun he, is regular handgun. Still looks a little bit silly, but a little bit less so, and then you can just, role play that these fly along separately on their own, though it's my kind of headcanon for them. But yeah, again, personally, I just leave these guns off to the side and then, have these be their own little autonomous things so they can still work with the combined mode. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe. So you can see, obviously that scale doesn't really work, but it was never going to with these guys, so whatever. Here he is with Needle Nose for another more modern deluxe jet there. And then here he is with Firefly. Like I said, I'm going to show these guys off together sort of as we go along here. So we'll add in the next one next time. But that's what the two of them look like together. I think I like his jet mode slightly better than Firefly's, but they're pretty much on par. Now, in terms of transformation, obviously, we'll start off by going to just the leg mode, which is pretty simple from jet mode. You just want to fold up the tail fins, fold up the wings like that, and then take the nose cone section here, kind of untab it. You just sort of have to unhook the legs here a little bit because you kind of have to fold those open before doing this. So if you just pull those open enough so you can bring that down, then you can fold it back up like that. And again, with him, you kind of want to loosen up this section too, rotate around his robot mode head, and rotate out the combiner peg there, and then obviously take the hand-foot gun and peg it into place there, and there you have him in his leg mode, which, decent. His wings definitely stick out a little bit farther than Firefly's did, but it's largely the same. These guys are not the same mold, even though they mostly share a transformation. There's basically 2/3/3.5 different deluxe aerial bot molds from Combiner Wars, if you're counting Alpha Bravo, and then this guy and Air Raid are partials of each other but slightly different, whereas Slingshot and Fireflight are pretty much the exact same mold with a different head. But yeah, I think that of all of them, Air Raid's probably the best mold, but this guy is mostly the same mold as Air Raid, just with a few different things, but yeah, it works well enough. In terms of the rest of the transformation to robot mode, you just want to take the arms here, kind of untab them and bring them up like this, and then you take this whole section and it has this kind of double swivel joint where it rotates up like this and clicks into place to get his shoulders aligned. And you can open up the legs, which again, the famous Combiner Wars joints work largely a lot like Fireflight's, except his are attached to the shins rather than being attached to the back of the legs. And then you can just close these up, untab the legs, rotate around the combiner port, and then you can do whatever you want with the wings here. They angle back. You can bring them all the way back if you want. I usually kind of leave them at an angle out to the side here, just because that's more of the kind of aerial bot look. But there we have Skydive in his robot mode. And yeah, I like the look of his robot mode. He definitely has a couple weird aesthetic choices. I remember it was pretty big talking point at the time, where how he has this like kind of like weird stylized head with like the layered faceplates there, which it's definitely a little bit strange, but I don't know. I've always kind of liked the look of his head sculpt. It gives him a little bit more character. He also has very wide shoulders with these like extra shoulder blocks here. Like you could leave the arms down like this if you want, but I feel like that also looks kind of stupid. If you bring it out like this, like I don't know, it at least looks a little bit more intentional, though it is definitely very noticeable how wide his shoulders are, but doesn't bother me all that much. Another thing worth mentioning with this guy is that out of the box, his elbows were very weak. They were like supposed to be kind of like the soft D10s like Firefly has. But yeah, they were just like very loose out of the box, which is why mine looks kind of all ugly on this side, because the particular brand of super glue for thickening things that I was using at the time kind of left some ugly residue on there, which I don't use that anymore, but it's just kind of what I used at the time there. But other than all that, I think he's a pretty fun looking little robot mode here. Also, I don't love that he's got the visible screws in the front there, but whatever. In terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint. He unfortunately does not have the like nice back cut like Fireflight had, so if you want him to look up, you kind of have to use the combiner peg, which looks kind of stupid. The shoulders are on ball joints, which can rotate around and go out to the side. You can bring the transformation joint down, but it doesn't go any further up than this, unfortunately. It's got a bicep swivel, about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, waist joint, hip ball joints, which can go forward, back, out to the side, thigh swivel, little under 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and then just those sculpted A-stance feet there. So again, pretty similar to Fireflight, just the shoulders work slightly differently. But yeah, even though they're not the same mold at all, all of the aerial bots are pretty similar to each other, and really all of the Combiner Wars guys in general are pretty similar. Obviously, we can bring his weapons back on here if we want to show him holding off the kind of dumb-looking hand-foot gun, and then his own double-barreled blaster. And again, just with Fireflight, there's no great way to store them. You can just like peg them onto the wings here. Unfortunately, you can't even really use this peg anymore, or this hole anymore, unless you want to like peg on one of his guns like that, which looks kind of dumb. But yeah, I just leave the main handgun off to the side and then leave this kind of like as its own little moving thing, but you can do it however you want there. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Sideswipe, and here he is again with Needle Nose, just for those average size deluxes there. And then here he is again with Fireflight, just so you can see how the team is working out so far. But yeah, no, they look pretty cool together. And then real quick, we'll show him off in his arm mode, which is fairly easy to get to. Basically, you just want to attach the legs back together. You want to take the arms, and they'll actually rotate down on this transformation joint, and then you want to rotate them around like this, and then this slot on the back of his forearms is going to go into that tab on the wings there. So you kind of just bend the elbows up like this and tab those into place. Again, some of these, like the arms didn't really have a super elegant place to go, but it kind of works. And then you rotate around his head, and then rotate out the combiner port, and then you can just rotate this forward, and then bring on the hand-foot gun and put it whichever way you need it to be. And there you have him in his arm mode. Maybe this is his and air raids are like pretty much identical, so I might have accidentally grabbed air raids because the tolerance on this is not feeling good, and so it might have been actually the one that came with air raid, but I don't remember that being an issue with his the one that he actually came with. But yeah, there's his arm mode there. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about Skydive here. Again, he's one of the ones I like better of the aerial bots, though I do think that that air raid is the best out of the lot of them. And I don't have Alpha Bravo. I do have several of that mold, but I don't actually have him, just because by the time I actually got around to picking up the aerial bots, they had already announced that they were doing Slingshot, who is my favorite aerial bot generally, so I wanted to get him and didn't really care to get the extra guy there, especially since I knew I was going to be getting that mold several times over anyway with Vortex and Blades, and then 2 of them with Victorion. But yeah, no, he's a decent figure. Again, pretty simple, nothing amazing, but just, kind of adequate, which is pretty much the case with most of the Combiner Wars guys, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to them. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Combiner Wars Deluxe Class Skydive.